Jake Morrison walked through the long hallway toward the council chambers. His footsteps echoed against the metal walls. Behind him, 3 other humans followed in silence. Admiral Lisa Parker wore her blue uniform with pride. Dr. Kevin Rodriguez carried a small bag of documents. Captain Amy Sullivan checked her watch for the 3rd time in 5 minutes. The hallway seemed endless. Giant windows showed the stars beyond the space station. Thousands of ships from different worlds floated in space around them. Some ships looked like metal insects. Others looked like floating crystals. A few ships were so strange that Jake could not figure out what they were supposed to be. "Remember what we agreed," Jake said quietly to his team. "No matter what they say, we stay calm. We speak our truth. We make our choice." Lisa nodded. She had been in many battles, but this meeting felt more dangerous than any war. Kevin adjusted his glasses and checked his papers one more time. Amy kept looking at her watch. She was counting down the minutes until their lives would change forever. The massive doors opened in front of them. The council chambers were huge. The ceiling stretched so high that Jake could barely see the top. Hundreds of seats filled the round room. Each seat held a different type of alien being. Some had 4 arms. Others had no arms at all. Some breathed air. Others wore special suits filled with gas or liquid. In the center of the room sat the High Council, 5 beings from the most powerful races in the galaxy. They looked down at the humans like parents looking at children who had broken the rules. High Counselor Vextar stood up. His body was made of living crystal that changed colors as he moved. When he spoke, his voice came from speakers around the room because humans could not hear his real voice. "Ambassador Morrison," Vextar said, "you have asked for this meeting. The Council has been patient with your species for many years, but that patience has limits." Jake stepped forward. The floor beneath his feet was smooth and cold. He could feel hundreds of alien eyes watching him. Some eyes were kind. Most were not. "High Counselor," Jake began, "we come here today because we believe there has been a mistake. The Council has accused humanity of breaking laws we never agreed to follow. You say we have built too many ships. You say we have settled too many worlds. You say we are dangerous." A sound like laughing came from the alien seats. It was not happy laughing. It was the sound of creatures who thought humans were foolish. Counselor Jara leaned forward. She looked like a giant bird with metal feathers. "Your species has built 300 warships in the past 5 years. You have settled 47 new worlds without asking permission. You have ignored 17 different treaties. How do you explain this?" Dr. Kevin Rodriguez stepped up beside Jake. "Counselor Jara, we have built ships to protect our people. We have settled worlds to give our children places to live. We have never signed any treaty that said we could not do these things." "The Galaxy Peace Treaty of 2387, said another counselor. "The Resource Sharing Agreement of 2391. The Military Limitation Pact of 2395. Your government signed all of these." Amy Sullivan shook her head. "Those treaties were signed by our old government. The people who signed them are dead. Our current government never agreed to those rules." Vexitar's crystal body turned bright red. "A government's promises do not die with its leaders. Humanity is bound by these agreements whether you like them or not." Jake felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "Then explain to me why the hegemony has 6,000 warships but we cannot have 300. Explain why the Crystalline Empire controls 200 worlds, but we cannot settle 47. Explain why some species can do anything they want, but humans must ask permission." Silence filled the chamber. Jake's words echoed off the walls. He had asked the question that everyone knew the answer to, but no one wanted to say. Counselor Zekmore spoke for the first time. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "The established races have earned their positions through centuries of cooperation. Humans are new. Humans are unpredictable. Humans are violent." "Violent." Lisa Parker stepped forward. Her voice was sharp like a knife. "Which species has started a war in the past 50 years? Not humans. Which species has destroyed a planet? Not humans. Which species has enslaved other races? Not humans. Enough, Vextar said. His voice boomed through the speakers. We did not call you here to debate history. We called you here to deliver a decision. The Council has voted. Humanity has 30 standard days to comply with our demands. Jake's heart began to beat faster. This was the moment they had expected, but it still felt like a punch to the stomach. What demands? He asked, though he already knew. Vextar's crystal body turned dark blue. First, humanity will reduce its military fleet to 50 ships. No more warships will be built without Council permission. Second, humanity will abandon all colonies settled in the past 10 years. Third, humanity will accept Council observers on all remaining worlds. Fourth, all human scientific research will be reviewed and approved by Council experts before it can continue. The human delegation stood in shocked silence. These demands would destroy human civilization as they knew it. Their children would grow up as slaves to alien masters. Their scientists would never be allowed to discover anything new. Their soldiers would become security guards for other species. Dr. Rodriguez spoke first. These demands are impossible. Our colonies have millions of people. We cannot abandon them. Our research feeds billions of humans. We cannot stop it. You can and you will, said Ja'ara, or you will face the consequences. What consequences? Jake asked. Vextar stood up to his full height. He was 3 times taller than any human. Humanity will be declared a rogue species. All trade with human worlds will stop. All travel to human space will be forbidden. Any human ship that leaves your territory will be destroyed. Any human who tries to join the Council races will be imprisoned. Amy Sullivan laughed, but it was not a happy sound. So we become your prisoners. We live in a cage you build for us. We eat what you give us. We learn what you teach us. We become your pets. You become civilized, Zekmor said. You learn to follow rules. You learn to respect your betters. Jake looked at his team. Lisa's face was red with anger. Kevin was shaking his head slowly. Amy was staring at the Council with disgust. And if we refuse? Jake asked. Then you will be destroyed, Vextar said simply. The Council has the power to end human civilization. We have done it before to other stubborn species. We will do it again if necessary. Jake Morrison had been a diplomat for 20 years. He had negotiated with criminals and terrorists. He had made deals with enemies and friends. But he had never faced a choice like this. He looked around the chamber one more time. He saw fear in some alien faces. He saw anger in others. But in most faces, he saw nothing at all. These beings did not care about humanity. They saw humans as a problem to be solved. Jake turned to his team. Lisa, Kevin, Amy, what do you think? Lisa spoke first. I think they want to kill everything that makes us human. Kevin nodded. They want to stop us from growing. They want to stop us from learning. They want to stop us from being free. Amy checked her watch one final time. I think we have a choice to make. We can live on our knees or we can die on our feet. Jake turned back to face the Council. The chamber was completely quiet. Every being in the room was waiting for his answer. High Counselor Vextar, Jake said in a clear, strong voice. The United Nations of Humanity rejects your demands. We will not reduce our fleet. We will not abandon our colonies. We will not accept your observers. We will not submit to your control. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens shouted in languages humans could not understand. Some seemed angry. Others seemed shocked. A few seemed pleased. Vextar raised one crystal arm, and the room became quiet again. Then you choose exile and destruction. Jake smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. No, High Counselor. We choose freedom. The human delegation turned and walked toward the doors. Behind them, the Council began to argue among themselves. Some wanted war immediately. Others wanted to wait and see what humans would do. As the Yiwao 4 humans left the chamber. None of them looked back. They had made their choice. Now they had to live with it or die for it. Commander Ben Taylor stood on the bridge of the transport ship Freedom's Dawn and watched his home world grow smaller through the window. New Terra had been humanity's greatest achievement outside of Earth. Green forests covered the continents. Blue oceans sparkled under the yellow sun. 60 million people had called this world home. Now it was empty. "Sir, the last transport has cleared the atmosphere," reported Lieutenant Kate Brooks from her station. "All civilian ships are in formation and ready for jump." Ben nodded but did not take his eyes off the planet. 6 months ago, the Council had given humanity their ultimatum. 6 months ago, Ambassador Jake Morrison had walked out of the Council chambers. 6 months ago, the human race had made the most difficult decision in their history. They chose to leave. "Lieutenant Brooks, signal the fleet," Ben said. "Begin the jump sequence. Destination, Sector 7739, beyond Council space." Kate's fingers moved across her control panel. Around the Freedom's Dawn, 300 ships began to glow with jump energy. Cargo vessels filled with families. Science ships loaded with research. Equipment. Military escorts ready to fight if anyone tried to stop them. The jump engines activated with a sound like thunder. In seconds, the entire fleet vanished from Council space. New Terra was left behind, empty and waiting for new owners. On Earth, President Claire Anderson stood before the cameras for the last time. Behind her, the skyline of New York City stretched toward the clouds. Hover cars moved between the buildings. People walked on the streets below, but not as many as usual. Half the city had already left. "My fellow humans," the president began, "today marks the end of one chapter in our story and the beginning of another. For 200 years, we have lived among the stars as part of the Galactic Council. We tried to be good neighbors. We followed their rules. We shared our knowledge. We helped fight their wars." She paused and looked directly at the camera. "But they never saw us as equals. They saw us as children who needed to be controlled. They saw us as animals who needed to be caged. They were wrong." Around the world, families gathered around their screens. Some were crying. Others looked angry. Most looked determined. "The Council believes we are running away in fear," President Anderson continued. "They think we are giving up. They think we cannot survive without them. They are about to learn how wrong they are." Dr. Sandra Kim was not watching the president's speech. She was too busy supervising the loading of the last science ship. Hundreds of researchers worked around the clock to pack their equipment. Computers filled with centuries of human knowledge. Laboratories with experiments that would never be finished on Earth. Samples of plants and animals from every human world. "Dr. Kim," called her assistant, a young man named Tony Chang. "The military is asking about the classified projects. Do we take those too?" Sandra looked around to make sure no one was listening. "Especially those. The Council banned our research into quantum mechanics. They banned our work on artificial intelligence. They banned our studies of space-time manipulation." "Pack everything. We will finish what we started." Tony nodded and ran back to the loading cruise. Sandra watched him go and smiled. The Council thought they knew everything about human science. They were wrong about that too. In space above Earth, Admiral Peter Grant commanded the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. 500 warships formed a protective circle around the planet. Thousands of transport vessels waited to carry the last humans away from their home world. "Admiral," said Captain Rick Thompson from the bridge of the battleship Endeavour, "Council forces are maintaining their positions at the edge of the system. They are not moving to stop us." Peter nodded. He had expected this. The Council wanted humanity gone, but they did not want to start a war. They would let the humans leave peacefully and then celebrate their victory. "Good," Peter said. "Let them watch. Let them think they have won. They will understand their mistakes soon enough." The evacuation continued for weeks. Every human world emptied its cities. Every human station closed its doors. Every human ship left Council space. The galaxy watched in amazement as an entire civilization packed up and left. Some alien races felt sad to see the humans go. They had liked human music and human art. They had enjoyed human friendship and human humor. But they said nothing. The council had spoken. Other alien races felt happy. They had always been jealous of human success. Now they could take over human worlds and human trade routes. They could become more powerful and more wealthy. Most alien races felt nothing at all. Humans were just another species. They came and went like all the others. The galaxy would continue without them. On the bridge of a council observation ship, Captain Navigator Klesic watched the human exodus with professional interest. His species, the Navigators, were known for their ability to read space patterns and predict the future. But even he could not understand what the humans were trying to do. "Sir," said his science officer, "long-range sensors show the human fleet is heading toward the galactic rim. There is nothing out there, no habitable worlds, no resources, no trade routes." Klesic studied the star charts. The humans were going to empty space where no council race had ever traveled. It was dangerous territory. Solar storms, rogue planets, unstable stars. Most ships would not survive the journey. "Perhaps they planned to die rather than submit," Klesic said. "Some species choose death over slavery." But the science officer was wrong about one thing. There were habitable worlds in that direction. The humans had found them years ago with their deep space probes. They had mapped safe routes through the dangerous regions. They had prepared for this day. The council did not know because the humans had never told them. President Anderson's transport ship was one of the last to leave Earth. She stood at the window and watched her home planet fall behind. 7 billion people had lived there. Now it was empty except for the automated systems that would keep it clean until someone else claimed it. "Madam President," said her aide, a woman named Jennifer Walsh, "we are receiving reports from all the fleets. Operation Exodus is proceeding on schedule. No ships have been lost. No council forces have interfered." Claire nodded. "And the decoy fleets?" "Also proceeding as planned. Council sensors are tracking them toward the rim worlds. They believe those are our main settlements." Claire smiled. The decoy operation had been her idea. Let the council think they knew where humanity was going. Let them believe humans were settling on the obvious worlds. The real colonies would be somewhere else entirely. Dr. Rodriguez was aboard the research vessel New Horizon when they made their first jump beyond council space. The ship's engines hummed with power as they entered the unknown regions of the galaxy. Through the windows, he could see stars that no human had ever seen before. Dr. Rodriguez called his research partner, Dr. Mary Foster. "We are detecting something unusual. Long-range sensors show artificial structures in this system, but they are not council technology." Rodriguez hurried to the sensor station. The readings were clear. Someone had built something in this empty system. Someone who was not part of the council. "Interesting," Rodriguez said. "It seems we are not the only ones who have been hiding from the council." The evacuation took 6 months to complete. When it was finished, human space was empty. Planets that had been filled with cities now had only empty buildings. Space stations that had bustled with activity now drifted silent and dark. Entire solar systems that had once been centers of human civilization now contained nothing but memories. The council races moved quickly to claim the abandoned territory. The hegemony took the industrial worlds. The crystalline empire claimed the mining planets. Smaller races fought over the trade stations and research facilities. High Counselor Vextar called a special session to celebrate their victory. "The human problem has been solved," he announced to the assembled aliens. "They have removed themselves from our space. They will trouble us no more." The council chamber filled with sounds of approval. Clicks and whistles and roars from 100 different species. They had faced down the aggressive humans and won without firing a shot. But on the edge of council space, a few beings were not celebrating. Captain Navigator Klesic studied his long-range sensor readings with growing concern. The human fleet. Movements did not make sense. Ships were disappearing from his screens, but not because they were destroyed. They were vanishing in ways that seemed impossible. "Sir," his science officer reported, "we have lost contact with 70% of the human ships. They appear to have simply vanished." Klesic felt a chill in his bones. In all his years of navigation, he had never seen anything like this. Ships did not just disappear, unless they had technology that the Council did not understand. Far beyond the edge of known space, Commander Ben Taylor stood on the bridge of Freedom's dawn and looked out at humanity's new home. The planet below was green and blue like New Terra, but it was bigger and more beautiful. Best of all, it was hidden inside a nebula where Council sensors could not detect it. "Sir," Lieutenant Kate Brooks reported, "all civilian transports have landed safely. The first settlements are already being established." Ben nodded and activated his communication system. Across the hidden fleet, human voices began to respond. Voices from worlds that the Council would never find. 5 years had passed since the humans left Council space. High Counselor Vextar stood in his private chamber and looked out at the peaceful galaxy. Trade routes ran smoothly between member worlds. No reports of human aggression reached his desk. No complaints about human expansion disturbed the Council sessions, the crystal being allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The human problem had been solved perfectly. They were gone, and the galaxy was better for it. "Counselor," his aide interrupted, "the monthly report on human activity is ready." Vextar took the datapad without much interest. For 5 years, these reports had said the same thing. Long-range sensors detected small settlements on barren worlds near the galactic rim. The humans were struggling to survive on planets that could barely support life. Their population was scattered and weak. "Any signs of military buildup?" Vextar asked, though he already knew the answer. "None, sir. Our sensors detect no warship construction, no large industrial facilities, no signs of advanced technology development." Vextar set the report aside. "Good. Continue monitoring, but reduce the frequency to quarterly reports. The humans are no longer a priority." What Vextar did not know was that every settlement his sensors detected was empty. The buildings were real, but no humans lived in them. Automated systems created heat signatures and energy readings that looked like normal colony activity. The real human colonies existed in places Council technology could not detect. Admiral Peter Grant stood in the command center of Hidden Base Alpha, buried deep inside an asteroid field that drifted between 2 dead stars. The base was invisible to normal sensors. Council ships had passed within 1,000 kilometers and never detected anything. "Admiral," reported Commander Jenny Pierce, "long-range reconnaissance shows Council forces have reduced their patrol frequency in our old territory by 40%. They believe we are no longer a threat." Peter nodded. This was exactly what they had hoped for. "What about our deep space projects? How is the research progressing?" Dr. Helen Martinez stepped forward. She had aged in the past 5 years, but her eyes still burned with scientific curiosity. "Sir, we have made breakthroughs that the Council said were impossible. Without their restrictions on our research, we have advanced further in 5 years than we did in 50 years under their rules." She activated a holographic display that showed a star map of the region. But this was not an ordinary map. It showed connections between stars that should not exist, lines of energy that crossed, impossible distances in the blink of an eye. "We have solved the problem of faster-than-light travel," Dr. Martinez continued. "Not the slow jump drives that the Council uses, but true instantaneous movement across any distance." Peter stared at the display. "Are you certain it works?" "Captain Rick Thompson tested the first prototype yesterday. He jumped from our base, here to a location 90 light-years away, and returned in less than a minute. The Council's fastest ships would need 3 days to make the same journey. The implications were staggering. If humans could travel anywhere in the galaxy instantly, they could appear and disappear before anyone could react. They could gather intelligence, establish hidden bases, or strike at enemies who thought they were safe. But Peter was more interested in the peaceful applications. "Can we use this technology to contact other species, races that are not part of the Council?" Dr. Martinez smiled. "We already have. Captain Thompson made contact with 17 different civilizations in the past month. Species that live so far from Council space that they have never heard of the Galactic Council. On a world called Haven, hidden inside a nebula that blocked all sensor readings, President Claire Anderson reviewed reports from across human space. The evacuation had been more successful than anyone dared hope. Not a single human life had been lost during the exodus. The hidden colonies were thriving. More importantly, humanity was growing stronger. "Madam President," said her Chief of Staff, Gary Mitchell, "we have received applications from 43 new species who want to join our alliance. Word is spreading that there is an alternative to Council membership." Claire looked at the list of species names. Some she recognized from Council records as races that had been rejected for membership. Others were completely unknown. All of them had one thing in common. They were tired of being ignored or oppressed by the established galactic powers. "What are our ambassadors telling them?" Claire asked. "The truth, that we offer partnership, not domination. That we share technology instead of hoarding it. That we judge species by their character, not their military power." Claire nodded. This had always been humanity's strength. They made friends easily. They worked well with others. They believed that cooperation was better than conquest. The Council had seen this as weakness. They were wrong. Dr. Sandra Kim worked in a laboratory that existed in a space between dimensions. Human scientists had discovered that reality had layers, like an onion. By building facilities in the spaces between these layers, they could remain completely hidden from normal sensors. Dr. Kim called her assistant Tony Chang. "The communication array is online. We can now send messages instantly to any point in the galaxy." Sandra paused in her work. Instant communication across galactic distances had been a dream for centuries. The Council's best technology could send messages at the speed of light, which meant conversations between distant worlds took years to complete. Human technology now made such delays obsolete. "Excellent. Send a message to all our hidden bases. Tell them that Phase 3 is ready to begin." Tony's fingers flew across the control panel. In seconds, the message reached human colonies scattered across the galaxy. Colonies hidden in asteroid belts, inside gas giant atmospheres, in the hearts of nebulae and in dimensions that most species did not know existed. The response was immediate. Confirmations came back from worlds the Council had never discovered. Reports arrived from research stations in places no Council ship had ever visited. Updates flowed in from diplomatic missions to species the Council considered too primitive to contact. Commander Ben Taylor had been promoted to head of colonial operations. He now oversaw the establishment of new human settlements across the galaxy. But these were not ordinary colonies. Each one was built using advanced technology that made Council achievements look primitive. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Kate Brooks, who was now a full captain, "Colony Ship 7 has established New Haven Base in the outer spiral. They report successful first contact with a species called the Builders. The Builders are offering to share their construction technology in exchange for our medical knowledge." Smiled. The Builders were master engineers who could construct cities in space without using any materials that normal sensors could detect. Their technology, combined with human innovation, would create possibilities neither species could achieve alone. "What about the gardeners?" Ben asked. "Colony Ship 12 has been working with them for 3 months. They have taught us how to grow food in environments that should be completely sterile. We can now establish colonies on worlds that the Council considers uninhabitable." This was the secret of humanity's success. While the Council focused on controlling existing territory, humans were learning to live everywhere. They could survive in the depths of space, in the hearts of stars, in dimensions that existed only in theory. On a Council observation post near the galactic rim, Captain Navigator Klesick studied his sensor readings with growing confusion. For 5 years he had tracked human settlements on the edge of known space. The readings were consistent, small colonies struggling to survive on harsh worlds. But lately, something was wrong. The energy signatures were too regular. The population movements were too predictable. The technology readings were too simple. "Sir," his science officer reported, "I have analyzed 5 years of data from the human settlements. The patterns are artificial. These readings are being generated by automated systems." Klesick felt a chill run through his body. "Are you saying the colonies are empty?" I am saying the colonies are fake. Someone is creating false sensor readings to make us think humans are living there. Klesic stared at the data. If the human settlements were fake, where were the real humans? 60 billion people did not just disappear. They had to be somewhere. Run a deep space scan, he ordered. Look for any signs of human activity in unexplored regions. The science officer worked for hours, pushing their sensors to maximum range. Finally, he looked up with confusion on his face. Sir, I am detecting energy signatures that match human technology, but they are coming from locations that should be empty space, and the signatures are stronger than anything we have seen before. Klesic stood up slowly. In his centuries of service, he had learned to trust his instincts. Right now, those instincts were screaming that something was terribly wrong. Send a priority message to the Council, he said. We need to investigate human activity immediately. I believe we have made a serious error in our assessment of the situation. But the message would take 3 days to reach Council space. By then, it might be too late. In a place that existed between the layers of reality, Dr. Helen Martinez watched her greatest creation come online. The quantum gate was a ring of energy 50 meters across. It glowed with power that bent space and time around it. Captain Navigator Klesic pushed his engines to maximum speed as he raced toward the coordinates his sensors had detected. Behind him, 3 Council warships struggled to keep up. What they were about to discover would change everything. Sir, his science officer called out, we are approaching the location of the energy signatures, but I still cannot see anything on visual sensors. Klesic leaned forward in his chair. Space looked empty ahead of them. No planets, no asteroids, no ships. Just the cold darkness between stars. But his instruments insisted something massive was there. All stop, he ordered. Begin full spectrum analysis. The ship slowed to a drift. Around them, space seemed normal, but the readings on his screen told a different story. Energy signatures that defied understanding, materials that should not exist, technology that made Council science look primitive. Then reality rippled. The empty space in front of them began to shimmer like water. The stars behind it bent and twisted. Slowly, impossibly, a structure began to appear. It was bigger than any space station the Council had ever built. It was made of materials that seemed to glow with their own light, and it was clearly not built by any known Council race. By the void, whispered his science officer. Where did that come from? Before Klesic could answer, his communication system activated. A human voice spoke through the speakers with calm confidence. Council vessel, this is Commander Alex Turner of the human station New Hope. You are in human territory. State your business or move along. Klesic felt his blood turn cold. Human territory. This was empty space. Humans had been exiled 5 years ago. They were supposed to be struggling to survive on the galactic rim. Commander Turner, Klesic managed to say. This is Captain Navigator Klesic of the Council Exploration Fleet. We were not aware that humans had established facilities in this region. A sound like laughing came through the speakers. There are many things the Council is not aware of. We have been watching your ships pass through our space for months. You never detected us because you never looked in the right places. The space station continued to become more solid and real. As it did, other things began to appear around it. Ships that looked like nothing in Council databases. Platforms that floated without engines. Structures that seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions. This is impossible, Klesic's science officer whispered. Our sensors should have detected all of this. Turner's voice came through the speakers again. Your sensors detect what we allow them to detect. We have been hiding from you for 5 years. We learned how to exist in places you cannot see. We learned how to build things you cannot understand. More ships began to appear around the station. Not 1 or 2, but dozens, then hundreds. They materialized out of empty space like ghosts, becoming solid. Each ship was sleek and powerful. Each ship used technology that the Council had declared impossible. Sir, the science officer reported with fear in his voice, I am detecting at least 500 human vessels. All of them are using energy sources I cannot identify. All of them appear to be warships. Klesic activated his emergency communication system. He needed to warn the council immediately, but when he tried to send a message, nothing happened. Your communication system is being blocked, Turner explained. We cannot allow you to report our location until we decide what to do with you. What do you want? Klesic asked. We want you to understand that humanity is not the weak, scattered species you thought we were. We are stronger than we have ever been. We are more advanced than the Council ever imagined, and we are no longer alone. As Turner spoke, more ships appeared, but these were not human vessels. They came in shapes and sizes that Klesic had never seen before. Some looked like living creatures made of metal. Others looked like crystals that moved through space without engines. A few looked like pure energy held in impossible forms. Who are they? Klesic asked. Our allies, Turner said simply. Species that the Council rejected, races that the Council ignored, civilizations that the Council declared too primitive to matter. They chose to join us instead of begging for your approval. The space around Klesic's ship filled with alien vessels, not dozens, but thousands. Each one represented a different species. Each one had chosen to ally with humanity instead of the Council. Sir, his science officer reported, I am detecting technology levels that exceed anything in our databases. Some of these ships appear to be using power sources equivalent to small stars. Klesic realized he was looking at the largest fleet ever assembled. Not just human ships, but vessels from dozens of species working together. The combined firepower could destroy the entire Council fleet. Commander Turner, Klesic said carefully. What are your intentions? Our intentions are peaceful, Turner replied. We want to exist without interference. We want to explore the galaxy without asking permission. We want to make friends with whoever will have us. And if the Council tries to stop you? There was a long pause before Turner answered. The Council made their choice 5 years ago. They told us to leave, we left. They told us never to return, we stayed away. But the galaxy is a big place, Captain. There is room for everyone. Another human voice joined the conversation. This one belonged to Colonel Maria Gonzalez, speaking from a ship that appeared to be made of liquid metal. Captain Klesic, you should know that the Council's information about humanity is 5 years out of date. We are not the same species that left Council space. We have grown. We have learned. We have evolved. Klesic stared at the displays showing the massive fleet. How is this possible? How did you advance so quickly? Freedom, Gonzalez said simply. When you are not bound by other people's rules, you can achieve amazing things. When you are not limited by other people's fears, you can discover new possibilities. The Council spent centuries telling us what we could not do. Without them, we learned what we could do. A new ship appeared near Klesic's vessel. This one was clearly human in design, but it used technology that seemed magical. It moved without engines. It existed without being fully solid. It was there and not there at the same time. This is Dr. Helen Martinez speaking from the research vessel Breakthrough. Captain, would you like to see what humanity has accomplished in 5 years of freedom? Before Klesic could answer, his ship was surrounded by a gentle energy field. He felt no danger, but his instruments went wild. According to his sensors, his ship was moving at impossible speeds, but according to his eyes, they were not moving at all. We are taking you on a short tour, Dr. Martinez explained. You will not be harmed. Consider this an education. Space around them changed. One moment they were near the hidden station. The next moment they were somewhere else entirely. Klesic saw planets covered with cities that floated in the air. He saw factories built inside stars that harvested solar energy directly. He saw gardens growing in empty space without any soil or water. This is one of our agricultural worlds, Martinez said, as they passed a planet that was green from pole to pole. We can grow food anywhere now. Hunger is no longer a problem for any of our allies. The tour continued. Klesic saw wonders that challenged everything he thought he knew about science and technology. Humans had learned to live inside gas giants. They had built cities in other dimensions. They had tamed black holes and used them as power sources. How many worlds do you control? Klesic asked. We do not control worlds, Martinez replied. We partner with them. Each species remains free to govern itself. Each world chooses its own path. We offer help to those who want it. We leave alone those who do not. They arrived at a space station larger than anything the Council had ever built. Ships from 100 different species docked at its ports. The station buzzed with activity as thousands of beings worked together on projects that spanned multiple star systems. This is Unity Station, Martinez said. Our center of government and trade. Every species has a voice here. Every idea is welcome. Every dream is possible. Klesic watched alien beings working side by side with humans. Species that hated each other in Council space cooperated here. Races that the Council considered enemies had become friends. You have built a new galactic civilization, Klesic said with amazement. We have built something better than civilization, Martinez replied. We have built a community. The tour ended back where it started, near the hidden station. Klesic's ship was released from the energy field. His instruments returned to normal. But his mind was spinning with everything he had seen. Captain, Turner said, you have a choice to make. You can return to Council space and report what you have seen. You can tell them that humanity is no longer the weak species they exiled. You can warn them that we have allies they never imagined. Klesic nodded slowly. And then what will happen? That depends on the Council's response, Turner said. If they choose peace, we will leave them alone. If they choose war, they will discover that they are badly outnumbered and outgunned. What about my crew and me? You are free to go. We will even repair the damage your ship suffered during the tour. But we ask that you deliver a message to the High Council. What message? Turner's voice became serious. Tell them that humanity remembers their friends and their enemies. Tell them that we have grown beyond their ability to control or contain. The council chambers had never been so quiet. High Counselor Vextar stood at the center of the room, holding the report that Captain Navigator Klesic had delivered 3 days ago. Every member of the council had read it. None of them wanted to believe it. This report claims that humanity has built a fleet of over 10,000 ships, Vextar said slowly. It claims they have technology that exceeds our own. It claims they have formed alliances with dozens of unknown species. Counselor Jara ruffled her metal feathers nervously. Perhaps Captain Klesic was deceived. Humans are known for their tricks and lies. The sensor data supports his observations, reported the council's chief scientist. Energy signatures that we cannot explain. Material compositions that we cannot identify. Technology that we declared impossible. Counselor Zekamore slammed his stone fist on his chair. Impossible or not, they are still just humans. We can destroy them if necessary. With what? Asked another counselor. According to this report, they have more ships than our entire fleet, and each of their ships is more advanced than anything we possess. The debate continued for hours. Some counselors wanted immediate military action. Others wanted to ignore the humans and hope they stayed away. A few suggested trying to negotiate. Finally, Vextar raised his crystal hand for silence. We will send a diplomatic mission to make contact with the humans. We will learn their intentions and negotiate a peaceful solution. What the council did not know was that their communications were being monitored. Every word spoken in the chambers was heard by human listeners. Every decision was reported immediately to President Daniel Wright. Wright sat in his office aboard the diplomatic vessel New Beginning, reading the transcripts of the council session. Around him, his advisors waited for his response. They want to negotiate, Wright said with a slight smile. After 5 years of pretending we do not exist, they suddenly want to talk. What should we tell them, sir? Asked his Secretary of State, Nancy Bell. Tell them we are willing to meet, but the meeting will be on our terms in our space with our security. 3 weeks later, a council diplomatic ship arrived at the coordinates humanity had provided. The ship carried High Counselor Vextar himself, along with representatives from the 5 most powerful council races. They expected to meet at a small space station or perhaps aboard a human ship. Instead, they found themselves approaching a structure that defied their understanding of engineering and architecture. The station was the size of a small moon, but it was clearly artificial. Parts of it seemed to exist in normal space, while other parts flickered in and out of reality. Ships from dozens of different species docked at its many ports. The energy readings from the station exceeded anything in Council records. "Welcome to Harmony Station," came a human voice over their communication system. "This is traffic control. Please follow the navigation beacons to docking port 7. As their ship moved toward the station, the Council delegation saw things that challenged their beliefs about what was possible. Ships that moved without engines, beings that seemed to be made of pure energy, structures that existed in more than 3 dimensions. "How many species are represented here?" Vextar asked his aide. "At least 47 different ship designs, sir. Many of them are completely unknown to our databases." President Wright met the Council delegation at the airlock. Behind him stood a group of humans and aliens working together as equals. The key contrast with the Council's rigid hierarchy was obvious. "High Counselor Vextar," Wright said politely. "Welcome to Harmony Station. I am President Daniel Wright of the Human Alliance." "Human Alliance?" Vextar asked. "That is what we call our Confederation of Species. We are 43 different races working together for mutual benefit. Humans are just one member, though we are proud to be the founding species." Wright led the delegation through the station's corridors. Everywhere they looked, the Council representatives saw wonders that their science could not explain. Gardens that grew without soil, water that flowed upward, lights that cast no shadows. "This technology," Vextar said, "where did you acquire it?" "We developed it ourselves," Wright replied. "When you removed the restrictions on our research, we discovered things that your rules had prevented us from learning." They entered a large conference room where representatives from the Alliance species were waiting. The Council delegation recognized none of them. These were races that had been rejected by the Council, ignored by the Council, or had simply never bothered to contact the Council. "High Counselor," Wright said as they took their seats, "you said you wanted to negotiate. What exactly do you want to negotiate?" Vexitar's crystal form shifted colors as he considered his words. "The Council is concerned about the balance of power in the galaxy. Your rapid expansion and military buildup threatens the stability we have maintained for centuries." Captain Jenny Pierce, who now served as Alliance Defense Minister, laughed softly. "Our expansion? We have not entered Council space once in 5 years. Our military buildup? We have not threatened any Council world or ship. But your very existence challenges our authority," Counselor Jara said. "Species are leaving the Council to join your alliance. Trade routes are shifting to avoid Council space. Our influence is declining." President Wright nodded. "That is not our fault. We offer partnership instead of domination. We share technology instead of hoarding it. We treat every species as an equal instead of ranking them by military power. If beings prefer our way of doing things, that is their choice." Dr. Andrew Clark, the Alliance's chief scientist, stepped forward with a data pad. "High Counselor, would you like to know why so many species choose to join us instead of you?" He activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Council space was marked in red. Alliance space was marked in blue. The blue areas now covered more than half the galaxy. "In 5 years, we have made first contact with 87 previously unknown species," Clark continued. "Every single one chose to ally with us rather than petition for Council membership. Do you know why?" Vextar remained silent. "Because we told them about you," Clark said simply. "We told them how the Council treats new members. We told them about the restrictions, the demands, the loss of freedom. We told them how you exiled us for refusing to submit. They decided they wanted no part of that system." Admiral Susan Bell, who commanded the Alliance fleet, stood up slowly. "High Counselor, you wanted to know about our military capabilities. Our fleet now numbers over 15,000 ships. Our technology allows us to travel instantly anywhere in the galaxy. Our weapons can destroy planets or protect them depending on our choice." She paused to let the numbers sink in. But do you know what our greatest strength is? Unity. Every species in our alliance fights to protect every other species. When you threaten one of us, you threaten all of us. Vextar's form turned dark, blue, a sign of distress among his people. What do you want from the council? President Wright leaned forward. We want nothing from the council. We want you to leave us alone, as we have left you alone. We want you to stop interfering with species that choose to join our alliance. We want you to accept that your way of governing the galaxy is no longer the only way. And if we refuse, Wright's expression became serious. Then you will discover that the galaxy has moved beyond your control. Your member species are already questioning your leadership. Your trade routes are becoming obsolete. Your military technology is falling behind ours. Counselor Zekmore stood up angrily. Are you threatening us? No, Wright said calmly. We are stating facts. The council can continue to exist, but only as one power among many. The days when you controlled the galaxy are over. Dr. Helen Martinez, who had been quiet during the meeting, finally spoke. High Counselor, 5 years ago you gave humanity a choice. Submit to your authority or face exile and destruction. We chose exile. We walked away from your galaxy and built our own. She gestured toward the window, where ships from dozens of species moved peacefully through space. Now we offer you the same choice. You can join our alliance as equals, working together for the benefit of all species. Or you can remain isolated in your shrinking corner of space, clinging to power that no longer exists. The council delegation sat in stunned silence. The species they had dismissed as primitive humans had become the leaders of a galactic civilization that dwarfed their own. The exile they thought would destroy humanity had instead freed them to achieve their full potential. We will need time to consider your proposal, Vextar said finally. Of course, Wright replied. But understand that time is not on your side. Every day more species choose freedom over control. Every day the alliance grows stronger while the council grows weaker. As the council delegation prepared to leave, Wright offered them one final piece of advice. High Counselor, you taught us a valuable lesson about the difference between being feared and being respected. Fear only lasts as long as you have the power to enforce it. Respect lasts forever. The council ship departed Harmony Station and began the long journey back to their space. Behind them, the Alliance continued its work of building a galaxy where every species could reach its full potential. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Peter Grant watched the council ship disappear into jump space.